The handshake that started a war. Stars looked calm from space. But inside the ship, everything was tense. Captain Rayner adjusted his suit collar. Today, he was Earth's ambassador to the alien race, known as the Zilari. It was the first peaceful meeting between humans and Zilari in history. One wrong move could start a war. Rayner looked in the mirror. Tall, sharp eyes, strong jaw, but sweat covered his forehead. Just be polite, he whispered to himself. No jokes. No sudden moves. His AI assistant, Navi, floated beside him in a small glowing orb. Captain, remember, Zilari don't shake hands. They bow. No contact. Yeah, got it. Rayner nodded. Do not mess this up, Navi added, more seriously. Rayner walked into the grand hall of the alien palace. The room was massive, glowing with blue crystals and floating light orbs. Alien guards stood still like statues. Everything was silent. Until she entered. Princess Virl. She was tall, elegant, with silver skin and eyes that shimmered like water. She wore armor that looked more ceremonial than functional. Her steps were silent, but her presence was loud. Rayner felt a strange chill in the air as she came closer. He took a deep breath. Earth custom. Be polite. Be friendly. He extended his hand and smiled. Hello, princess. I'm honored to meet you. There was a long pause. The princess looked at his hand. The guards stiffened. The king's advisors gasped. One alien even dropped his staff. Princess Virel slowly raised her hand and gently touched his palm. Suddenly, a loud alarm rang out. Guards aimed weapons. Red lights flashed across the room. Everyone started shouting, in the Zilari language. What the hell's happening? Rayner whispered, frozen in place. Navi beeped loudly. Captain, on Zilari planets. A handshake means a marriage proposal. Rayner's eyes widened. Oh no. The heavy doors opened behind the princess. A tall, armored figure entered with a long silver cape. It was King Zalrith, the ruler of the Zalari Empire, and the princess's father. He walked straight toward Rayner. His face was unreadable. You dare offer your hand to my daughter? The king said in deep, echoing English. Rayner stepped back. Wait, it's a mistake. On Earth, it's just a greeting. The king's voice boomed. On our world, it is not. You have made the sacred gesture. Before the eyes of the court. The pact is sealed. I didn't know, Rayner shouted. This is a cultural misunderstanding. Navi buzzed again. It's no use, Captain. Zilari law is strict. Intent does not matter, only action. Princess Virel stepped forward. Her expression was calm, but her voice was cold. You touched my hand. Now, by ancient code, you are to become the father of my heirs. Rayner looked at her in shock. This can't be real. She tilted her head. Do you deny me now? In front of the court. Wait, no, I mean. Yes, I mean. Rayner panicked. Suddenly, something strange happened. The princess stepped closer and placed 2 fingers on Rayner's forehead. Her eyes glowed bright blue dot, and then he saw it. A vision. Not a dream. Not a memory. Something else. He saw Earth in flames. Cities destroyed. Giant alien warships hovering above. People screaming. And then a child. A strange child with glowing silver eyes. Half human, half Zilari, standing between the 2 armies. Screaming one word. Stop. Rayner gasped and fell back. The vision ended. Everyone watched in silence. The king stepped forward. The bond has begun. You have seen the possible future. Only you and my daughter can stop the coming war. Rayner sat on the floor, his hands shaking. What future? What war? The king's face was like stone. You will understand. Soon, behind him, the guards lowered their weapons. The princess turned and walked away, her silver cloak flowing behind her. Navi floated close to Rayner's ear. Captain, you just became the most important human in the galaxy, Rayner whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. All I did was shake her hand. Captain Rayner sat alone in a silver chamber deep within the Zilari palace. The walls shimmered with strange patterns that moved like water. The air was too quiet. He was not in a prison, but it did not feel like freedom either. Every breath reminded him he was far from Earth. He had touched the princess's hand, and now the galaxy thought he had proposed marriage. He ran his fingers through his hair and stared at the floor. One handshake had turned into a royal bond, and now he was supposed to become the father of alien heirs. He could not believe how fast things had changed. Rayner had trained for diplomacy, not royal marriage, not space-fatherhood. The door slid open without a sound. 2 armored guards stepped aside as Princess Virel entered the room. She stood tall and silent for a moment. Her long silver robe shimmered with soft light. Her eyes met his, and for the first time she spoke with emotion. You are confused. Stood up slowly. Confused is a soft word for how I feel right now. The princess walked closer. I do not blame you. Your people do not share our customs. You did not know what the gesture meant, but now the bond is formed, and the court has witnessed it. We cannot undo it without great insult to both our empires. Raina sighed. I was just trying to show respect. I didn't come here to get married. Varel looked at him with a strange calm. You did more than show respect. You sealed a pact that was spoken of in prophecy. Raina blinked. A prophecy? What prophecy? She touched her temple, and the room dimmed. Soft light formed between them, and pictures began to appear in the air. It was the same vision again. Earth in ruins, fire in the sky, the same child, standing between two armies, her voice clear and strong. The child is real. Varel said she is to be born of two worlds. You and Myrina stepped back. You keep saying that, but I don't even know. You will. Varel answered. I have chosen you for a reason. Raina narrowed his eyes. You chose me on purpose. The princess nodded. Yes. I have studied your people. I read your history. I know your spirit. I saw your strength during the mission to Town 9. When you saved your crew, I asked my father to send for you. Raina was stunned. So, all this, the handshake, the meeting, it was all part of your plan. Only part, Varel said softly. The rest is fate. Before Raina could speak again, the door opened. A tall figure in golden robes entered. It was King Sire. His steps were heavy, and his voice was low, but strong. Earth Command has accepted our message. They ask for time to understand. They request peace while you remain here. Raina clenched his fists. What if I refuse this? What if I say no to all of it? The king's eyes narrowed. You are free to refuse, but understand what it means. If you break the pact before the ceremony, our alliance will fall, and my people will see it as betrayal. We are not a people who forgive insults easily. Raina looked between the king and the princess. And if I accept, then you become part of our royal family. The king said, you will have influence in our council. You will be the bridge between Earth and the Zelari, and one day the father of the heir, who may stop the war. Shown in the visions. Raina sat down again. His heart was heavy, his mind was racing. And what does Varel think of this? Does she even want this? The princess stepped forward again. This is not duty for me. I do not see you as a tool. I see you as someone who can help change everything. I will not force you, but I hope you will choose the path of unity. Long silence followed. The king gave a final nod and left the room. Varel followed soon after. Raina sat alone again, but everything felt different. Now the pressure was crushing. The future was unclear. His voice came quietly through his earpiece. Captain, Earth Command just sent a message. They say we need more time to respond, but between us this may be bigger than any order. Raina leaned back against the wall. So let me get this straight. I came here to shake a hand and talk peace now. I'm being asked to become part of an alien royal family, and father some galactic peacemaker child to stop a war we don't even understand. And HFY stayed quiet for a moment. Yes, Captain, that's the situation. Raina closed his eyes. Unbelievable, but deep inside him something had shifted. The vision of Earth in flames, the voice of the child. The calm truth in Varel's eyes. It all felt real. It all felt too important to ignore. Maybe this was not about a handshake. Maybe this was destiny. Captain Raina followed two Zelari guards through the glowing halls of the palace. Their armor was smooth like glass, and their footsteps made no sound. Every wall shifted with faint lights like stars trapped in stone. Raina kept his back straight, but inside his chest was a storm. He had agreed to stay. He had agreed to listen. He had not agreed to father a child yet, but something inside him was pushing forward. The guards stopped at a tall door. The surface pulsed with blue light and opened. With a wave of energy behind it was a wide chamber filled with strange floating symbols and vines that glowed softly in the dark. Princess Varel stood in the center, dressed not in royal armor, but in a simple long robe. Her silver skin caught the light like water. Her eyes were calm, but unreadably. Who came? She said. You asked. He answered. She gestured for him to sit. A small bench grew from the floor, like living stone. Raina sat down and waited. Today, you will see who I truly am, she said. Raised an eyebrow. You mean, apart from the prophecy and the throne? Varel smiled slightly. Yes. Beyond all that. She walked to a wall and touched a panel. It opened to reveal a long screen that showed moving images. They were not videos, but memories. The first showed a younger Varel, training with weapons in a wide arena. She fought against warriors twice her size. She lost at first again and again. Then she learned to predict their moves. She began to win not by strength but by understanding. The second memory showed her standing before a council. They dismissed her words, ignored her ideas. She walked out alone. Her hands trembled, but she did not cry. Was raised as a symbol, she said, not as a person. Raina watched in silence. They said I would be a perfect bridge between our people, but they never let me shape my own path until now. She turned to face him. That is why I chose you, not because of the mistake, not because of duty, because I saw in you a will to lead without control, a strength without pride. Reyna stood and walked closer. You saw all that in a handshake. No, she said. I saw it in your record. I saw it in how you saved your crew. I saw it in how you faced the court with fear. But no. Reyna looked down at his hands, the same hands that had started all this. You think I can be a leader, but I'm not even sure who I am. Here you are human, she said, and you are honest. That is rare among rulers. He let out a slow breath. And what about you? What do you want in all this fear? Paused as if the question was too personal for a royal room. I want peace, she said. I want to stop the war before it begins. I want our child not to be born into fire. Reyna nodded slowly. That vision, it was really us, she said. Every seer in our line has seen it, a child of two bloods, one voice to stop the armies before they destroy everything. Reyna sat again. His head lies saw her in the vision. She looked like you and me. Bothviral placed a small device in his hand. It glowed with a soft hum. This is a memory core, she said. It contains the ancient laws, the real history, the secrets our people hide. Even the story of the first bond between Sire and another race. Why are you giving this to me? Because if we are to walk together, you must know everything. Reyna looked into her eyes. And if I choose to walk away, she did not flinch. Then I will walk alone. Sharp knock broke the moment. A soldier entered quickly and bowed. Forgive me, princess, but there has been an incident. She asked. A noble was attacked in the West Wing. He claims the human did it. Trainer Frownadiv. Been here the whole time. The guard looked nervous. We know, but someone made a clone image of your form, a hologram, a trick meant to cause chaos. Viral stood tall again. Her voice returned to royal tone. Who would do this? We believe it is Lord Tren. His family opposes the bond. His house wants war, not peace. Reyna's hands clenched. So this is all a game to them. Viral turned to him. No, this is a battlefield. The guard bowed again. We have captured the attacker, but the court demands a trial. They want to see if the human is worthy. Reyna looked at Varel. What does that mean? It means the trials begin tomorrow, she said, and you must face them in front of Ore. Stepped forward. And if I fail, then you will be seen as weak, she said. And they will take what they want from you. Anyway, Reyna felt the heat rise in his chest. His heart pounded in his ears. Then, I will not fail, asterisk. The arena stood like a giant bowl of stone carved into the mountainside, its edges burned with floating lights and ancient symbols. Thousands of Sire citizens filled the seats, high above each, wearing silver masks that reflected the sunlight. Captain Reyna stood in the center below, feeling the heat of their stares. He wore a suit of thin armor provided by the court. The metal was strange and light, but strong enough to stop a blade. His heart beat like a war drum inside his chest. He was about to face the first trial, the trial of blood. Princess Varel stood at the royal balcony beside her father, King Zalreth. Both watched in silence as the court announcer stepped forward to speak. According to our ancient law, when a foreign bond is formed, the outsider must prove their worth in 3 trials. First comes the trial of blood, where strength must meet honor. The challenger may not kill, but must overcome. A tall figure stepped into the arena. The challenger, his name was Lord Tren, son of a powerful noble family, who hated the bond with earth. He wore dark armor, and held a long staff tipped with energy blades. His face was cold, and his eyes sharp. Reyna looked at the staff, then at his own weapon, a simple short sword, curved and light. He had trained in basic defense on earth, but nothing prepared him for this. Lord Tren spoke across the arena. You do not belong here. You are soft, your people are weak. This bond is a mistake. Reyna raised his sword. He will seeth Hornblue, and the fight began. Lord Tren moved fast. Too fast. Reyna barely blocked the first strike. The staff spun in circles, glowing with power. Every hit pushed Reyna back. His arms burned. His legs stumbled, but Reyna had not come to play by their rules. He remembered something Varel told him about Tren. He always fought with rage, always rushed to finish, never patient. Reyna started to dodge. Instead of block, he let Tren swing wide, let him waste energy, let him roar with pride. Then when the moment came, Reyna dropped low and kicked his leg out. Tren fell hard and slammed into the ground. His weapon flew from his hands. Reyna stood over him, sword raised, but did not strike. He spoke loud so all could hear. I am not here to kill. I am here to stand beside the princess. I am here to build peace, not destroy. If the crowd was silent, then a wave of sound rose. Cheers, mixed with gasps. Zalari voices chanting his name. Reyna, Reyna, Reyna. The announcer raised his hand. The outsider has passed the trial of blood. Reyna lowered his sword and looked toward the royal balcony. Varel nodded once, her expression calm, but her eyes proud. Later, in the chamber of rest, Reyna sat alone. Navi hovered near him, glowing softly. That was impressive, Captain. Your movements were 90% reactive. You used his aggression against him. Rayner wiped sweat from his face. Yeah, I got lucky. You used strategy, Navi replied. That is not luck. The door opened, and Varel entered. She walked toward him, and sat on the bench across from him. You did well, she said. I survived, Rayner replied. Better than that, you showed them you can think like a Zelari, but act like a human. You gave them both power and mercy. Rayner leaned forward. What is next? The trial of the mind. Varel answered, tomorrow. He looked up. What does that mean? She paused for a moment. She will enter the dream gate, a psychic space built from our memories and fears. You must face a challenge not with your body but with your thought sounds. Relaxing, Rayner said with a tired smile. Is not, she said softly. Some have gone in and never returned. Rayner stood and paced the room. Have never trained for something like that. How can I fight inside a dream? You do not fight with weapons in the dream gate, she said. You fight with truth. You must face what you fear most and not run. Rayner looked out the small window. Stars blinked in the night sky above. Strange mountains do. You think I will posse? Do not know, she said, but I know this. You are not alone in there. I will be connected to your mind. I will see what you Rayner turned to her. You will be inside my head, only as a guide, she said. I will not control anything. Great, he said, just what I need. A royal princess, reading my thoughts. Varel smiled for the first time that night. You are more open than most of my kind. That is your strength. Rayner looked down at his hands again. They had held a sword earlier. Now they trembled slightly. He whispered, what if I fell? Varel stood and placed a hand on his shoulder. Then I will bring you back and we will find another way. He looked up at her eyes. They were not cold or distant anymore. They were full of fire and something else. Hope, maybe. Rayner would step into a dream world crafted by alien minds, a place where thoughts could kill and fear could trap. Yet something in him was ready. He had passed the first trial with courage. The next would test his soul. Captain Rayner stood before the dream gate, a wide circular structure pulsing with pale blue light. It looked like a portal made of living crystal. The air around it felt heavy, as if time moved slower near its edge. The Zelari crowd watched in silence. From the high platforms above, some stood, others floated in small hover pods. No one spoke. The trial of the mind was not entertainment. It was sacred. Princess Varel stood beside him. Her robe darker today, her expression serious. You will step through the gate, she said. Your body will remain here, but your mind will enter a place shaped by memory, by fear, and by truth. Rayner nodded. Once will I remember it. You will remember every moment, she said, and you must face whatever appears. You must not run. You must not lie. If you break or deny the trial, we'll trap you. Rayner looked into her eyes. And you will be there, right? We'll walk beside you in the shadows, she said, but I cannot speak unless asked. I cannot protect you. You must choose your own path. Took one long breath. He stepped forward into the gate. The light swallowed him. Silence. Then everything shifted. He opened his eyes and found himself standing in a long hallway. It looked like a ship corridor. Earth designed, clean walls, faint lights, but the gravity felt strange, and the air was cold. A navy appeared beside him, glowing faintly. You are in your own memory, Captain, but something is wrong. This place no longer exists. Rayner walked forward. His boots echoed through the hall. He stopped at a door. It slid open on its own. Inside, he saw his old crew from his first mission on the EU's Valor. They were laughing, playing cards, relaxed. Then came the sound. A deep metal tearing sound. The explosion. The memory began to twist. The light turned red. The crew screamed. The ship broke apart. Rayner saw himself unable to save them. He reached, but his hands passed through them. You failed, Navi, whispered. Rayner shook his head. No. I did what I could. I got out with the survivors. I sent the warning that was the best I could do. The memory froze, then faded. The hallway turned dark, then shifted again. Now he stood in a strange forest. The sky above was green. The trees moved even without wind. He heard crying. He followed the sound until he reached a clearing. There he saw himself again, but younger. He stood before a small child, the same child from the vision, half human, half Zelari. She cried with blood on her hands. You left me, the child said. You promised you would stop them, but you did not. Trainer stepped forward. I'd never promised that. I promised I would try. I was not strong enough. Get, the child screamed, and the ground cracked. Rayner stood firm. I'm here now. I will protect you. I will not turn away. The child stared at him, her eyes turned from anger to come. Then she vanished. The forest became Miss Trainer. Now found himself on a mountaintop, stars above, snow beneath. His heart beat slow. A voice spoke from behind. You do not belong here. He turned and saw a version of himself dressed in Zelari armor. His face looked cold. His eyes were empty. You are just a man, the other said, a visitor pretending to matter. Rayner walked closer. Maybe I am, but I care, and that makes me dangerous to those who want silence. The other raised a weapon. You are the enemy. Of both worlds you will fail, and both Earth and Zelari will burn. Rayna did not move. Then let me fail. Trying to vision cracked like glass, the sound echoed like thunder. Then silence again. Rayna stood now in a calm place. No shape, no sky, just white. Endless space. A soft voice spoke behind him. It was Varel. You have passed, she said. Rayna turned to her. She looked peaceful and proud. Do you faced your fears without running? You faced yourself without lies. The trial of the mind is complete. Rayna felt a tear run down his cheek. He had not cried in years. What now? Now you return, she said, and face what waits in the waking world. The dream folded into itself, and the light returned. He opened his eyes. He was back at the dream gate, his body stiff with cold sweat. The Zelari crowd stood quiet. Then they bowed in one motion, a sign of deep respect. The king stepped forward and raised a hand up. Outsider has passed the second trial. The bond remains strong. Virel helped Rayna stand. He looked at her and whispered, I saw her again. The child, she still waits. Then we must reach her before the war. Does Varel? Answered. Rayna stood tall. His voice cleared. Tell me, what comes next? The king turned toward him. The final trial. The trial of loyalty. You must protect the one you now stand beside. For tonight, there will be an attempt on her life. Rayna's eyes narrowed. Then I will be ready. The palace was quiet, but tension filled the air like a storm waiting to break. Guards stood at every corner with weapons in hand. Silent drones hovered near the ceiling, scanning every shadow. Captain Rayna walked beside Princess Varel through a narrow hall made of glowing stone. Their steps echoed behind them as they approached the Hall of Voices, where the royal meeting would take place. Rayna kept his eyes moving, watching for movement, watching for danger. The king had spoken clearly. The final trial was one of loyalty. An attempt would be made on the life of the princess. He was to protect her without being told when or how. Rayna knew this trial was no performance. This was real. Virel spoke without turning her head. Do you trust the people around us? Rayna paused before answering. I trust you. On the other's eye. Trust no one else. Good, she said. Then your eyes are open. They entered the Hall of Voices, where the royal council sat in a circle around a central platform. Noble houses represented by robed figures, some masked, some not. All with quiet agendas hidden behind calm faces. The king stood in the center, his voice firm and slow. Bond between Princess Varel and the human Captain Rayna has been tested through strength and mind. Now we test the spirit of loyalty. The court must witness his devotion in action, not in words. Rayna stood behind Varel, his hand near the weapon at his side, his heart steady but his breath quiet. The court meeting began. Council members asked questions about Earth politics, trade, military strength. Rayna answered when needed, but never let his focus drift from the room around him. Then something changed. A shadow moved where it should not have. A ripple in the air, too smooth, too fast. Rayna's hand reached out. He pulled Varel to the side, just as a sharp needle sliced through the air and buried itself into the stone wall behind them. It hissed with smoke. The guards shouted, weapons raised. Chaos broke across the hall. Rayna moved without hesitation. He threw himself toward the source of the attack. A figure cloaked in black tried to vanish through a hidden panel in the floor. Rayna caught his arm, pulled hard, and brought the attacker down with a sharp strike. The figure struggled, but Rayna pinned him down, pulled the mask off the room. Froze. The attacker was not a Zelari noble. It was a human. Rayna stared in disbelief. He knew this Facigent Dalton, Earth diplomat, assigned as support staff to the embassy mission. A man trusted by the Earth Council. Why? Rayna asked. His voice cold. Dalton sneered. Because you forgot your place. You were sent to negotiate, not to bond with alien royalty. You are a soldier, not a prince. Rayna stepped back. So Earth sent you? Not Earth, Dalton snapped. Just those who understand what is at risk. This bond is a threat to everything. Our people will not be ruled by alien lawguards. Moved and pulled Dalton away. The king stood silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. The trial is over. The betrayal came not from within Zelari, but from the outsider's world. Virel turned to Reynard. Do you still choose this path, knowing that your own people now see you as a traitor? Rayna met her eyes. If standing beside you means betrayal, then I accept it. I will not turn back. The king raised his hand, and the council bowed. Then the trials are complete. The pact stands. Later, in the quiet of the upper chambers, Rayna sat with Varel beside a fire of blue flames that gave no smoke. You knew someone would come for you, he said. Yes, she answered. I only hoped it would not be someone you knew. Rayna looked into the fire. Dalton was never more than a shadow, always quiet, always listening. I should have seen it too. Are not responsible for the darkness in others, she said. Only for the light you choose to carry. Rain nodded slowly. So what happens now? Viel stood and walked to a nearby wall. She touched a panel and it opened, revealing a sealed chamber. A sphere of silver floated within it, pulsing with soft energy. "This," she said, "is the heart seed, the source of our memory line. It holds the code for the heir to come." Raynor stood beside her. "This is how it begins." "Yes," she said. "No child will be born by blood until the seed joins both our minds, not body to body, but thought to thought. Spirit to spirit." Trina placed his hand on the sphere. It warmed under his touch hand. "When this is done, then the child will grow in the chamber and be raised by both of us. She will not be mine alone or yours alone, but a symbol of both worlds." Raynor looked at her not as a warrior or a stranger, but as someone who had walked beside him through trial after trial. "I am ready," he said. "Then let us begin," she whispered together. They stepped into the chamber, and the light began to rise. Outside, the stars watched in silence. The chamber of the heartseed was quiet, like a deep breath held in the sky. Silver light poured from the center of the room, where the floating sphere pulsed with life. It spun slowly in place, above a stone platform shaped like two joined hands. Raynor stood beside Princess Varel. Their hands touched the sides of the sphere, as soft waves of heat moved through their skin into their thoughts. The air around them shimmered, as if reality itself had become water. "Close your eyes," Varel said. "Let your mind speak, not your mouth." Raynor obeyed. His vision faded, but his senses opened wide. He no longer stood in a room. He floated in a space filled with memories and dreams. Some were his, some were hers, some were pieces of something yet to come. Saw Earth as it was green, blue, proud. Then he saw Zellery worlds vast and glowing, filled with towers that touched the stars. Then he saw a child. Her eyes silver, her hair dark, her face calm. She held out her hand toward the galaxy. "This is the moment," Varel said. "This is the shaping of peace." Raynor reached out his hand, met hers. The energy in the sphere cracked with a single bright flash. Then silence returned. He opened his eyes and saw the heart seed now dim its light, drawn into the glass chamber. Beside it, inside the chamber, floated a small form, not flesh, yet not spirit, only a beginning, a spark of both bloods, held in harmony. "A child has been created," Varel said, "and she will grow here until the time is reached." Raynor stepped closer and looked at the figure inside. It looked like a star wrapped in skin, a heartbeat in the shape of hope. "What will her name be?" he asked. "She will name herself when her voice is strong enough," Varel answered. "That is our way." The door behind them opened. King Zalreth entered without guards. His face was not cold now, but thoughtful. "You have done what no one else has done. You brought union without bloodshed. You passed every trial, and stood in defense of our future." Raynor bowed slightly. "Did what I believed was right." The king approached the chamber and looked at the child. "This heir will hold the voices of two worlds. She will carry both burdens. She will need both of you to teach her balance. We will not leave her alone," Varel said, her voice steady. "Good," the king replied, for many eyes now turned toward us, some with wonder, some with fear. Raynor knew what that meant already. The message had gone out. The news of the union, the child, the end of the trials back on Earth. Opinions would split. Some would call him a hero, some would call him a traitor. The lines had already begun to fall. The tour. That evening, Raynor stood on a balcony that faced the twin moons of Zellery. The sky was clear and filled with stars, but his thoughts were heavy, and Evie hovered beside him. "You did something historic, Captain. You changed the future with a choice." Raynor looked down at the gardens below. "I wonder if they will understand back home." And Evie hummed gently. "They do not have to understand, they only have to listen, and in time they may see." He heard steps behind him. Varel joined him, and stood quietly at his side. "Tomorrow we begin the first teaching session for the chamber," she said. "The child will absorb language, feeling, memory. It is a sacred process, Raynor. No, did I want to be part of that? I want her to know both sides from the beginning." Varel looked at him, her expression calm, but her voice soft. "There is more. Earth Command sent a message. It arrived moments ago. They wish to speak with you directly." Raynor closed his eyes for a second. "Let them wait one day more," she agreed. "One day more." Together, they watched the moons rise. A gentle wind passed through the balcony, like a whisper from the stars inside the chamber. The child floated still, but her eyes now opened. Slightly, a faint glow shimmered behind them. She was not fully formed, but something in her had awakened. She turned slowly toward the direction of the balcony, as if listening. Raynor turned at that moment, and felt a strange pull in his mind, a whisper, not from outside, but from within. One single word echoed through his thoughts: "Father." He stepped back, and looked at Varel. "Did you hear that?" "Yes," she said. She has spoken. No one had trained her, no one had taught her. She had reached across the bond between them and found her voice. In that moment, all doubts left him. He was no longer just a visitor, no longer just a soldier or a diplomat. He was part of something new, something greater than bloodlines or planets, something written in the stars. The child of two worlds had spoken on. Peace had finally answered.